When we think about health and longevity, many of us imagine complicated routines, expensive supplements, or long hours at the gym. But the truth is far simpler. One of the most powerful things you can do each day to add not just years to your life, but life to your years, is to move. And I don't mean running a marathon or lifting heavy weights, though those can certainly help. I mean consistent daily movement, small, repeatable actions that keep your body alive, flexible, and strong. Think about the human body for a moment. We were never designed to sit in chairs for 10 hours a day or to remain still for long stretches. Our ancestors walked, squatted, lifted, stretched, and carried things constantly. Modern life has stripped most of that movement away. And what we've learned from countless studies is that inactivity isn't just a small problem, it's one of the strongest predictors of decline, frailty, and even early mortality. Sitting too long, moving too little. It accelerates the breakdown of muscles, weakens the cardiovascular system, and sets the stage for chronic disease. On the other hand, consistent activity acts almost like a daily reset for your body. When you engage your muscles, even with something as simple as squats, walking, or light stretching, you're sending signals through your entire system. Your heart pumps more efficiently. Your blood vessels stay elastic. Your lungs expand and contract, keeping your respiratory system robust. And perhaps most importantly, your muscles stay active. That matters because muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of healthy longevity. Research shows that people who maintain their muscle strength as they age are more likely to remain independent, less likely to suffer falls, and less likely to end up confined to a nursing home. Consider something as basic as the squat. Many physical therapists now call it the longevity exercise because it mimics what you do every day: sitting down, standing up, bending to pick something up. If you can perform a squat well into your later years, you maintain the ability to live independently. And that independence is not a small thing, it's the difference between needing constant help and being able to enjoy life on your own terms. A study recently pointed out that difficulty with rising from a chair without assistance is one of the strongest predictors that someone will soon need long-term care. That's how powerful this simple movement is. But movement doesn't have to be intimidating. A brisk 10 to 20-minute walk after a meal, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, gentle stretching in the morning to wake up your joints. These are all signals to your body that you intend to keep it active. And the beauty is that these little actions compound. You don't see the benefits in a day or a week, but months and years of consistency translate into better blood sugar control, stronger bones, a healthier heart, and sharper cognition. In fact, exercise has been shown to stimulate neurochemicals that protect the brain, lowering the risk of dementia and cognitive decline. What's fascinating is how quickly the body responds. Even in people who have been sedentary for years, just a few weeks of regular walking or light resistance training can improve insulin sensitivity, lower blood pressure, and boost mood. You don't need perfection, you don't need hours, you need consistency. The key is to move every single day in some form, to send that signal that your body is not shutting down but staying alive and adaptive. When you look at people in the longest living cultures around the world, you notice something: they don't spend their days in gyms, but they move constantly, gardening, walking to the market, cooking while standing, kneeling, squatting. Movement is built into their lifestyle, and we can borrow that wisdom today. So if you're wondering where to start, don't overcomplicate it. Choose one movement that feels doable. Maybe today it's a walk around your neighborhood. Tomorrow it's standing up from your chair 10 times without using your hands. The next day it's stretching before bed. Each of these small choices is like a vote for your future self. And over time, those votes add up to a body that feels alive, responsive, and capable, even decades from now. If you want to live long and be healthy, begin with this simple commitment: move daily, no matter how small. That single act has the power to change the trajectory of your health, more than almost anything else you could do. And the best part, it's available to you right now. Your body is ready, you just need to let it move. When we talk about living long and living well, one of the most powerful levers we can pull each day is nutrition. What you choose to put on your plate sends constant signals to every cell in your body. It either supports health and longevity or it accelerates decline and disease. The science is clear. Diets that emphasize whole, plant-rich, unprocessed foods are consistently linked to longer lifespans, lower rates of chronic illness, and better quality of life as we age. This isn't about following the latest trend or fad, it's about aligning with patterns that human physiology has thrived on for generations. Think of the Mediterranean diet. It's built around vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, whole grains, fish, and olive oil. Study after study shows that this way of eating supports cardiovascular health, reduces inflammation, and lowers the risk of conditions like diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer. Then there's the DASH diet, designed originally for blood pressure control, but proven to benefit overall health as well. Both approaches have something in common. They rely less on highly processed foods and more on what comes directly from the earth. When you fill your plate with colorful plants, you're not just eating calories, you're eating information. Every nutrient, every antioxidant, every fiber molecule interacts with your body. They stabilize blood sugar, feed your gut microbiome, reduce oxidative stress, and calm down chronic inflammation, which is one of the central drivers of aging. We sometimes think of inflammation only in terms of swollen joints or infections, but low-grade persistent inflammation at the cellular level is what quietly accelerates aging. Plant-rich diets provide the natural compounds that put out those fires day after day. One of the best examples comes from Okinawa, Japan, a region known for some of the longest living people in the world. Their secret isn't a miracle supplement, it's their food culture. Meals are built around vegetables, sweet potatoes, tofu, seaweed, and modest amounts of fish. And they follow an important principle called hara hachi bu, eat until you're about 80% full. This simple practice prevents overeating, supports digestion, and protects against the metabolic damage caused by chronic excess. It's a reminder that longevity isn't just about what you eat, but also how much and how mindfully you eat it. Contrast this with the modern diet dominated by refined sugars, processed meats, and packaged snacks. These foods are engineered to be hyper-palatable, but they hijack your biology. They spike insulin, flood the body with excess calories, and leave behind inflammation and metabolic stress. Over years, this pattern fuels obesity, heart disease, and dementia. The sad part is, it often starts subtly, a little extra sugar here, a packaged meal there, and before long the body is under chronic strain. But here's the good news, the body responds quickly when you change the inputs. Within weeks of shifting to more whole foods, more vegetables, beans, nuts, fruits, you begin to see blood pressure drop, cholesterol improve, energy increase, and even mood stabilize. These changes don't require perfection, they require consistency. Small shifts, repeated daily, add up to remarkable long-term outcomes. It's also important to think about balance and sustainability. The goal isn't restriction or punishment, it's nourishment. Enjoying meals with family, preparing food that is both healthy and satisfying, and practicing moderation are all part of the equation. Food isn't just fuel, it's culture, it's memory, it's connection. The healthiest dietary patterns in the world don't cut people off from joy, they integrate health into daily life in a way that feels natural and sustainable. So when you think about adding years to your life, ask yourself this simple question: what message am I sending my body today through my food? Is it one of healing, resilience, and renewal, or one of stress and damage? Choosing plant-rich, unprocessed foods is like choosing to support your body's natural design, and practicing moderation, as the Okinawans do, ensures that you never overwhelm the system. These are not small decisions. They are the quiet daily choices that over time shape how long you live and how well you feel in every one of those years. When we think about health, most of us immediately turn to diet and exercise, but one of the most overlooked and yet most powerful factors in longevity is sleep quality. Rest is not simply the absence of being awake. It is an active biological process that supports nearly every system in your body. During sleep, your cells repair themselves, your brain clears out toxins, your immune system strengthens, and your hormones rebalance. It is during these hours of rest that the groundwork for long-term health is quietly being laid. The science shows us clearly, people who consistently get good sleep live longer and live better. Poor or irregular sleep has been linked to higher risks of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, and even Alzheimer's disease. One reason for this is inflammation. Chronic sleep deprivation elevates inflammatory markers in the body, and over time, this low-grade inflammation accelerates aging and disease. On the other hand, deep restorative sleep lowers these markers, reduces stress on the cardiovascular system, and allows your brain and body to reset. Think about the brain specifically. While you're awake, your neurons are firing constantly, creating waste products in the process. One of those waste products is beta amyloid, a protein strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease when it accumulates. During deep sleep, a remarkable system called the glymphatic system kicks in. It functions like a cleaning crew, flushing out these toxins from the brain. Without adequate sleep, that cleansing process is cut short, and over years it increases the risk of cognitive decline. This is why good sleep is often called the brain's most powerful form of neuroprotection. But sleep doesn't just guard against disease, it enhances daily life. It sharpens memory, boosts creativity, stabilizes mood, and improves decision-making. Many of us have experienced what it feels like after a poor night's rest: irritability, fogginess, sluggishness. Now imagine multiplying that by years or decades. The toll is immense. Yet the opposite is also true. When sleep becomes a consistent ritual, energy returns, clarity improves, and resilience builds. The key is not just the number of hours, but the quality and regularity of those hours. Our bodies run on circadian rhythms, internal clocks that regulate everything from hormone release to temperature cycles. When you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, you align with those rhythms. Your body learns when to release melatonin, when to lower core body temperature, and when to prepare for deep restorative stages of sleep. On the other hand, irregular schedules, late nights, and frequent screen use in the evenings disrupt these rhythms, tricking the brain into thinking it's still daytime and delaying the onset of sleep. Practical changes make a big difference. Turning off screens an hour before bed allows melatonin levels to rise naturally. Keeping the bedroom cool and dark signals the body that it's time to rest. Even something as simple as stepping into natural light in the morning helps anchor the circadian clock so that sleep comes more easily at night. These small habits, repeated daily, train your biology to support rest instead of fighting it. What's encouraging is that improvements in sleep can start working quickly. People who commit to consistent sleep patterns often notice within weeks that their energy levels stabilize, their cravings for unhealthy foods decrease, and their ability to concentrate improves. Over the long run, those changes translate into better health, lower disease risk, and extended lifespan. So if your goal is to live long and live well, think of sleep not as wasted time, but as one of the most important investments you can make. It's in those quiet hours, when the world is still, that your body is doing some of its most critical work. By protecting your sleep, by treating it as a daily ritual, you give yourself one of the most powerful tools for resilience, clarity, and longevity. When we talk about longevity, we often think about the body, nutrition, movement, sleep. But what's fascinating is that science shows us something deeper. The mind and the spirit are just as important. Positive emotions and a strong sense of purpose are consistently linked to longer, healthier lives. This isn't just about feeling good in the moment. It's about how your outlook shapes your biology. Studies have found that individuals who describe themselves as happier and more optimistic live years longer than their peers, with some research suggesting up to a decade of increased lifespan. That's not a small effect, it's life-changing. Why does this happen? One reason is that our emotions and thoughts directly influence stress physiology. When we're constantly negative or hopeless, the body remains in a heightened stress state. Cortisol stays elevated, blood pressure rises, inflammation lingers. Over time, that kind of inner environment wears down the immune system, accelerates cardiovascular disease, and even shortens the length of our telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of our DNA strands that are often used as markers of cellular aging. But when people cultivate positive emotions, gratitude, joy, hope, the opposite occurs. Stress hormones decline, inflammation decreases, and the body is more resilient. Then there's the power of purpose. In Japan, there's a concept called ikigai, which loosely translates to a reason for being. It's that sense that you have a role, a contribution, something that gives your life direction. Research from communities where people live far longer than average shows that this sense of purpose is not optional, it's central. People with a clear sense of meaning live longer, but they also live better. They wake up with energy, their social connections are stronger, and they navigate life's challenges with resilience. One large study found that adults with a strong sense of purpose were significantly less likely to die over a 14-year period than those without it, regardless of age, gender, or socioeconomic status. Purpose seems to act as a buffer, helping the body withstand stress and motivating healthier behaviors. It becomes a guiding force, a reason to move, to eat well, to engage with others, and to keep going even in difficult times. It's important to note that positivity and purpose are not about ignoring reality or forcing fake happiness. They are about cultivating a mindset that looks for possibility rather than limitation, that leans toward gratitude instead of resentment. Small practices, like writing down 3 things you're grateful for at the end of each day, spending time with people who uplift you, or engaging in activities that bring joy, can all gradually shift your emotional landscape. Over time, those shifts change biology. Optimism is like a muscle, it gets stronger the more you exercise it. And purpose doesn't have to be grand, it can be found in caring for a family member, teaching a skill, volunteering, gardening, creating art, or even simply striving to be a kind presence in the lives of others. What matters is that it gives you direction, a reason to get up each morning. So when we talk about living long and being healthy, don't overlook this dimension. The body responds not only to what you eat or how you move, but also to how you think and what you live for. Cultivating optimism and finding your purpose is not just feel-good advice, it is life-extending, grounded in science, and available to each of us. If you want to add years to your life, and more importantly, life to your years, begin with your outlook. Train it toward positivity. Align your days with a purpose that matters to you. Because a heart full of gratitude and a life full of meaning don't just feel better, they last longer. When we think about the keys to longevity, our minds usually go to physical health, exercise, nutrition, sleep, but one of the most powerful and sometimes underestimated factors in living a long, healthy life is connection. Strong social bonds are lifelines, not luxuries. They lower the risk of mortality, protect against disease, and provide the kind of emotional support that medicine alone can't give. In fact, research has shown that loneliness is as harmful to health as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. That's how profoundly connection shapes our biology. At its core, we are social beings. Our brains and nervous systems are wired for interaction. When we experience meaningful connection, whether through family, friendships, or community, our stress hormones drop, our immune system strengthens, and our cardiovascular health improves. Oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, is released during positive social interactions. This chemical doesn't just make us feel good, it lowers blood pressure, reduces inflammation, and supports healing. In a very real way, connection acts like medicine that our bodies have been designed to receive. On the other hand, chronic isolation has devastating effects. People who feel consistently lonely are more likely to suffer from depression, cognitive decline, heart disease, and even premature death. This isn't simply because they lack companionship, it's because isolation keeps the body in a subtle but persistent state of stress. The nervous system senses the absence of support as a form of threat, keeping stress pathways activated. Over time, that wears down both physical and mental health. What's remarkable is that the benefits of connection extend across cultures and generations. When scientists study blue zones, regions of the world where people live unusually long lives, strong social bonds always appear as a common thread. In Okinawa, for example, many people are part of lifelong groups called moe, where friends commit to supporting one another emotionally and financially throughout life. This sense of belonging provides not just companionship, but resilience in the face of stress and hardship. It's one reason why Okinawans often live healthy, active lives well into their 90s and beyond. It's also worth noting that connection doesn't have to mean having hundreds of friends. What matters most is quality over quantity. A small circle of close, supportive relationships can be more protective than a large but shallow network. The presence of even one or two people you can truly rely on makes a measurable difference in health outcomes. There's also a beautiful reciprocity in connection. Giving support is just as beneficial as receiving it. Volunteering, caring for others, and contributing to community not only provide meaning but also activate the same protective biological pathways. This reminds us that belonging isn't passive, it's created through participation, through showing up, and through nurturing bonds with others. For those who may feel isolated, it's important to recognize that connection can be rebuilt at any stage of life. Joining a group, reaching out to a neighbor, picking up the phone to call an old friend, these small actions matter. Even digital connections, when used mindfully, can bridge gaps and reduce feelings of loneliness, especially for those with limited mobility. The key is authenticity, real conversations, shared experiences, genuine care. So if your goal is longevity, don't overlook this vital piece of the puzzle. Just as daily movement and nourishing food sustain your body, daily connection sustains your spirit and in turn your biology. Human bonds give us meaning, strengthen our resilience, and promote health in ways no pill ever could. At the end of the day, we don't just live longer because of how we treat our bodies, we live longer because of who we walk through life with. And perhaps that's the greatest medicine of all. One of the most common mistakes people make when trying to improve their health is believing they need to change everything at once. They imagine a complete overhaul, new diet, new workout plan, perfect sleep, no stress, and the sheer weight of that vision often makes it unsustainable. But the truth is far simpler and more encouraging. Even one sustainable habit practiced consistently can create a ripple effect that changes the course of your health and your longevity. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to cover every area of life. What matters most is that it is realistic, repeatable, and something you can build upon over time. This principle is backed by research. Studies show that adopting a single positive behavior, even as small as taking a daily walk or replacing one sugary drink with water, can produce measurable improvements in health markers, such as blood pressure, weight, and insulin sensitivity. These shifts may seem modest in the beginning, but they set in motion a cascade of changes within the body. The brain starts to rewire its reward pathways, creating momentum and making it easier to layer on other habits in the future. In neuroscience, this is sometimes described as habit stacking. One positive choice begets another, and over time the small steps add up to large transformations. Consistency is the key here. The human body thrives on rhythm and routine. When you engage in a healthy habit daily, No matter how small, you train your nervous system, your muscles, and even your metabolism to anticipate and support that action. This predictability stabilizes stress hormones, strengthens willpower, and makes the habit less of a conscious effort and more of an automatic behavior. In other words, what once required discipline eventually becomes part of who you are. It's also important to highlight that sustainable habits are not about intensity, but about longevity. Think of someone who decides to run 5 miles every day out of the blue. They may succeed for a week, maybe two, but eventually burnout, injury, or sheer exhaustion sets in. Compare that with someone who simply commits to a 10-minute walk each day. Over months and years, the latter habit produces greater benefits because it's actually doable. This is the essence of sustainability. Start with something so manageable that it feels almost effortless and allow it to grow organically. There's a psychological element to this too. When we achieve even a small goal, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with motivation and reward. This chemical reinforcement makes us more likely to repeat the behavior, and it builds confidence in our ability to follow through. Over time, that confidence expands into other areas of life. The single habit you started, whether it was drinking more water, sleeping a bit earlier, or stretching in the morning, becomes the foundation upon which healthier patterns are built. History and cultural wisdom also reinforce this approach. In many long-lived populations, daily habits are simple but deeply consistent. Gardening, walking to the market, sharing meals with loved ones. These aren't dramatic health interventions, but they are small sustainable routines performed day after day, year after year, and it's that consistency that yields resilience, longevity, and vitality. So ask yourself, what is one habit you can begin today? Not tomorrow, not next month, today. Maybe it's adding one serving of vegetables to your dinner. Maybe it's standing up to stretch every hour. Maybe it's a short walk after meals. Whatever it is, keep it small, keep it daily, and allow it to take root. Once that habit feels natural, let it grow into another. Over time, these tiny seeds of change can blossom into a healthier, longer, more fulfilling life. Because in the end, the power of transformation isn't found in massive, unsustainable leaps, it's found in the quiet, steady rhythm of one sustainable habit practiced with intention.